All right, Warriors, it's Dominick Izzo out here at the Izzo Warrior Academy in Schaumburg, and we're continuing with the Wing Chun wooden dummy. We're in section number 4 right now. By now, if anything you've gotten out of this in the series is that the dummy is meant to train all about you. It's not meant to train in some theoristic bullshit mentality of, oh look, I got a strike coming in, so I'm gonna deflect it and then I'm gonna hit here, or I'm gonna use this as a creative training partner to wind up giving me a concept of movements to train on the dummy. That's where Wing Chun fails. And a lot of the bullshit Wing Chun we see on YouTube is all about predisposed movements, set movements, a series of, hey, if person A punches, but you know, I'm gonna do this and this and this. Wing Chun specifically fails the moment that we do exactly what we're training ourselves not to do, chase the hands. When we wind up chasing the hands, which is what 99% of all Wing Chun people do, because we see Chi Sao, we see the dummy, we see these drills, you fail, and you're gonna fail. And understand, if you are training the dummy in any other, or the forms, or the drills, in any other way other than to train yourself and understand yourself, you're gonna fail. And your Wing Chun will be useless and it'll be bullshit, and you'll be going, why did I ever space my time in this? I'm gonna go do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instead. When it comes down to grappling arts, the reason why boxers and grapplers are two of the best athletes and fighters on the planet is from day one, they're making contact. Wrestling, grappling, BJJ is fantastic. Judo is all fantastic for one reason. It's because it's full body contact. And when you wind up eliminating things like balance by being on the ground, and when you wind up eliminating things like spatial distancing and timing, you then are in a superior fighting range because you no longer have to worry about those concepts. Boxing is the exact opposite. You're not worrying about blocking, you're not worrying about tying up, you're not worrying about taking to the ground, you're worried about exchanges of punches, dodging punches, ducking punches, slipping punches, returning punches. You blend the two, and I truly believe that's where Wing Chun lives. You have a striking art in grappling space. That's what Wing Chun truly is. So when you train, we're in the Po Pai Chun section, the pushing hand section, understand, you are learning about position and recovery for the dummy. And what I mean by that is, what I mean is the dummy teaches me that if I'm too bunched up for a movement, this is bad position. It already affects my spine. I have no ability to deliver maximum power with any of my 4 weapons. And understand, when we talk about fighting, we talk about weapon 1, weapon 2, weapon 3, weapon 4. The feet and the kicks, although they're essential, we try not to kick in Wing Chun unless we have the upper torso under control. So we're not going to use our longest weapon and our closest target. Why? We're not going to take a leg off balance to kick to gain entry. It's not responsible. It's not responsible. And especially when you got a guy who's my height, it doesn't make sense. Control the upper body, destroy with the legs. That's our concept on that. You can't deliver maximum power with any of your tools if you don't have perfect balance. And understand something, balance is generated by your root, your stance, and the root always changes. It is never constant. So you're trying to take all the information you have and perfect it in a minimal amount of time. It's just what fighting is. It's dynamic, it's quick, it's explosive, and it's always changing. So when it comes down to this section, what I don't want you thinking of the Po Pai Chun section, the pushing hand section, is that you're gonna learn how to push people off of you with this inch power energy. That's not what this section is for, and we'll go through it. Again, if you're new to Wing Chun, don't worry about terminology. We're just gonna go through this. Now keep in mind that the problem I have with a lot of schools who wind up taking the Ip Man 8mm tapes as gospel is, you have a guy who was recording these videos, the forms and the dummy, 2 weeks from his deathbed. He was a shell of himself. He was a shadow of a man. He couldn't do it without taking breaks in between every one of them. You could visually see he's exhausting. So if we take those for the gospel truth, I think it's inaccurate. We have to take them with the concept, and we have to take the writings and everything else he left behind, his sons, his students, and we go from there. And then you formulate your own concepts as you go. My Wing Chun will never be yours, your Wing Chun will never be mine, and my teacher's was never mine, and his is never going to be mine either, and neither are my students. Wing Chun is a series of set system that you make your own. Keep that in mind. So I take the first movement, and it's going to be from the third form, first section, where we have the Bill G section, and we're putting the energy into our fingers based on our wrist. We're gonna 1 off the side. 2, the first weapon is gonna be the inside of my hand here. You can see this. The second weapon is gonna be here. And traditionally, we only do one side. This is the one section of the dummy that in at least my school, my system, we don't repeat on the one side that we did on the other side. You can, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm keeping with tradition and we just don't. 1, 2, I turn over with a tan sao here. Keeping everything tight and systematically working as I go. I keep my elbow as dedicated pointing down as I can, but anatomically speaking, as I do a yun sao here, a circling hand, I can't turn the dummy. The dummy's an inanimate object that I can't turn. So I have to turn around. I have to turn my way around the dummy. As I turn just enough to get the job done. My physical center line may be veered off that way, but my intent is right towards that dummy. That's where that's where my center line goes. I turn and I strike low to the ribs. From here, I stay in that turn. I come down the bong sao and a tan sao, and I use a little bit of a rising energy into the dummy. From here, my elbow comes down, and I turn into the dummy and I push. My hands don't really come off. They push and they stick to the dummy. I come over the top of the right arm, snake through. This connection tells my body where to go into the dummy. I come around, I check my leg at the bottom, and I push into the dummy. Bring my hands out. My left hand comes inside, my right hand comes outside with a tan sao or gan sao and tan sao. Left arm comes down in, right arm comes over the top, pushes in, recess this, the wu sao hand back. All right, bong sao as I turn, snake around the dummy, boom. Boom, boom. And again, a little bit more fluid. 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 boom. Rising and sinking just like everything else, taking your energy, rising it, pushing into the dummy. The pole pie section is not about push and it's not about getting that inch power into somebody. It's about taking your body mass and explosively pushing it into two sections. For the most part, the two sections that we refer to are going to be the shoulder and the hip. That's why we aim for those two areas, because they're joints on the body that control the center of gravity. And if we push in those areas violently and explosively enough, and we push someone into a wall, into the corner of a wall, into another enemy, through a fucking door, we are then causing the destruction that they brought upon themselves by engaging us in a fight in the first place. Understand something. As beautiful as your Wing Chun is supposed to look, as movie-esque as your Wing Chun is supposed to look, if you want to look like Donnie Yen working the dummy, go right ahead. You should do that. But train for a purpose, because martial arts has now become, in the last probably 50 years, so much more less martial and much more art. There's some of us who do believe in training it. God forbid you ever wind up putting your hands on me, it's going to be a bad fucking day for you. You have to learn the rules, though, before you break the rules, and understand that. It's essential when you train Wing Chun. Otherwise, you're taking a conceptual-based martial art, and you're trying to turn it into technique, and it will fail every time. I say this all the time. Wing Chun is the graduate school of martial arts. It is so frustrating. It's so irritating. It's so belittling when you don't wind up understanding it. It's insulting, but it is masterful if you study the shit out of yourself in it. Don't study it to learn how to do a punch. Don't study it to learn how to do a tan sao and wind up veering off energy just to redirect into a bong strike. Don't. Study it for the sake of learning to perfect yourself, to be a weapon to destroy whoever stands in your fucking path. All right? Again. You can see when I come into the dummy here, boom, boom, boom. My position has to be perfect, because if I shove someone into a wall, I'm going after them. I can't be too close and then reposition to go in, and I can't be too far away to reposition and put in. You jam that in there, you have to have a follow-up immediately. You immediately chase the core. We don't chase the hands on Wing Chun, we chase the core. You can see all the time, the second you hit, you're going in, hit, going in, hit, 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 hit. You're going in. Everything you do goes towards the trunk of the dummy. Stop chasing the hands. These are not energetics coming towards you that you're supposed to play in La La Land and make believe and understand. Here's an attack, I'm going to come in. This is, I made contact. This is telling me where to go. This is not going to you, it's going to the dummy. Keep that in mind. Section 4. All right? Comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.